Reports in Spain are stating that Spurs are interested in Real Madrid star Rodrygo. He is available for £70 million, and the reports are stating that Spurs will be willing to pay that figure. Mohamed Kudus is not going away on international duty due to him missing the last couple of Tottenham matches against Copenhagen and Manchester United. Now, a behind-closed-doors friendly has been arranged at Hotspur Way during the international break for the likes of Dragusin to get much-needed game time. Kevin Danso has come out and said, "We are not just a set-piece team. Kolo Muani could be out for months. Matisse Tel could replace him in Thomas Frank's Champions League squad due to a new rule change." Mikey Moore on his first goal for Rangers. Matisse Tel has come out and said that everyone must remain positive. And journalist Henry Winter has come out and said that Spurs must sign a striker and they should go and sign Ivan Toney. Hi everyone, hope you're well. Chris Cowlin here. This is another edition of Tottenham News where I'll be going through all of the latest Spurs news, rumours and reports. If you're watching on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. So first up, let's talk about the Premier League results from Matchweek 11. Tottenham Hotspur 2, Manchester United 2. And the other four games on Saturday, Everton 2, Fulham 0. West Ham United beating Burnley 3-2 at the London Stadium. Sunderland 2, Arsenal 2. And Chelsea beating Wolves 3-0 at Stamford Bridge. The five games on Sunday, Aston Villa 4, Bournemouth 0. Brentford 3, Newcastle United 1. Crystal Palace drew 0-0 against Brighton at Selhurst Park. Nottingham Forest beating Leeds United 3-1 at the City Ground, and Manchester City beating champions Liverpool 3-0 at the Etihad Stadium. Now, after match week 11, Tottenham Hotspur are 5th in the Premier League table. We have 18 points from 11 games. We are 8 points away from league leaders Arsenal, who of course we face next after the international break. We are 8 points above the relegation zone. The Standard have just reported that Mohamed Kudus is expected to be back in action for Spurs after the international break when Spurs travel to the Emirates to face North London rivals Arsenal. The winger has missed the last two games. The Standard have also stated that Luca Williams-Barnett will also return to action for the Arsenal game, having also missed the last two games against Copenhagen and Manchester United. Football.London have just stated that Mohamed Kudus will not join up with Ghana following the injury that has resulted in him missing the past two Tottenham matches, and Thomas Frank has said that he is very confident that Mohamed Kudus should be available for the next one. The Standard have also reported that Tottenham Hotspur can replace Kolo Muani in Champions League squad after rule change. The striker collided heavily with Harry Maguire in the game against Manchester United at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in our 2-2 draw on Saturday, and reports in France are claiming he suffered a fractured jaw. There has been no official communication of that or a potential time frame for his return, but it has been suggested that Kolo Muani could face up to 2 months on the sidelines. UEFA rules this season state that clubs can replace an outfield player in their squad if they have suffered a long-term injury. That is defined as one that lasts at least 60 days as of the day of the injury or illness that has occurred. If Kolo Muani's injury does prove to be a serious one, Matisse Tel would be the most likely player to be brought into Thomas Frank's Champions League squad. Journalist Henry Winter has been talking on TalkSport about the Spurs v Manchester United game. He has come out and said that Spurs need a centre-forward and they should try and target Ivan Toney. Matisse Tel talking about Tottenham's 2-2 draw at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Saturday. The goalscorer said the reaction in the second half was very positive. We showed a great mentality. I would say we deserved to win the game because we gave a lot. For sure, it's disappointing, but I would say that we need to stay positive because we didn't lose the match. We knew we needed needed to give 100% energy defensively and offensively. That is what we tried to do in the second half, and that is why we scored the first goal and then the second one. It was a good reaction from the team. It's a good point to take, so let's stay positive. Now, Football.London have stated that Spurs will play a behind-closed-doors friendly during the international break. Now, defender Dragusin will feature for Tottenham. It will be his first taste of football in a Spurs shirt for 10 months. Dominic Solanke will not feature in the friendly at Hotspur Way. Spurs have also announced that Luca Williams-Barnett has been shortlisted for the Premier League 2 Player of the Month award for the second time in a row. Spurs youngster Mikey Moore, currently on loan at Rangers, scored his first goal for Rangers at the weekend on Sunday as they beat Dundee 3-0 away. Mikey Moore said he was buzzing. He then went on to say, "It was a difficult start for me at this club and I don't think I showed anywhere near what I could do. Mentally, it's been unbelievable for me because it's a massive club and I think it's strengthened me up a lot because it's probably the toughest time I've been through as a footballer. So now I'm happy to be coming out of it, but now I need to keep going and performing." And Mikey Moore was also asked about the speculation for him aiming for a return to North London in the January transfer window, ending his loan spell early, and he said, "I was never ready to go back to Tottenham." Mikey Moore then goes on to say, "I always knew at some point it would change and I've changed it for myself a little bit in the last few weeks, but I need to keep building and playing even better than I am. I'm picking up goals and assists, as I said in midweek after our 2-0 Europa League defeat to Roma, that I need to, so I'm happy with the goal on Sunday. I'm feeling a lot more confident. I'm getting used to the league, used to my teammates, and the manager's helped me a lot as well. He has come in and he has given me confidence and belief in myself, which has been good for me, so I'm excited to keep going. There has been a lot of pressure on me as a young player coming from the Premier League, but as long as I'm improving, I'm helping Rangers to go and win games and picking up goals and helping the team, and that is all that matters for now." Mikey Moore then added, "I always wanted to be involved in the game as much as possible and I like to get in the pockets. I can play wide, but I think I've had a bit of a mix of both, so I'm excited to be in this role that I've been given." Reports in Spain are stating that Tottenham Hotspur remain interested in signing Real Madrid forward Rodrygo, 24, and they would be prepared to pay the Spanish club's asking price of around £70 million for the Brazilian international. Spurs defender Kevin Danso has been talking about set pieces and boss Thomas Frank. He's come out and said, "We have shown that we're really strong on set pieces this season compared to other seasons, but we showed on Tuesday against Copenhagen in the Champions League, we are not just a set piece team. We can score goals in different ways. We want to be good on all aspects of the game. That is the goal. It is not us that creates the narrative." Danso then goes on to say, "We want to just go out there and win the game. Sometimes it is through a set piece that you get that edge and you open the scoring. Sometimes free-flowing football will win you a game. Now, our goal is to be effective as possible as we can on all fronts. Thomas Frank is always level-headed and that does a lot of good for the team." Now, the club have just announced that Palhinha has reclaimed his title as the Premier League's top tackler. Known for his ability to take the ball from an opponent in his first stint in the Premier League, which was a 2.5-year spell at Fulham, he made over 100 tackles, more than any other player in England's top flight, registering 300 between 2022 and 2024 before leaving for Bundesliga giants FC Bayern Munich. During his spell away in Germany, his tally of 300 was surpassed by Chelsea's Caicedo, leaving him with ground to make up when he returned to London in the summer as he joined Spurs on loan for the season from the Bundesliga side. And incredibly, it has taken him no time at all to take back that crown as the Premier League's top tackler, with the midfielder now having overtaken Caicedo, making a league-high 49 tackles so far this campaign to sit comfortably at the top of the respective leaderboard. Most tackles in the Premier League since Palhinha's competition debut back in August 2022. Palhinha, Fulham and Spurs, 349. Caicedo is second with 339. Now, over the weekend, the under-18s, the under-21s and the Spurs women were all in action. The under-18s beat Ipswich Town 4-0 at Hotspur Way on Saturday. The under-21s drew 1-1 against Fulham in Premier League 2 on Saturday afternoon, Max McFadden scoring Tottenham's goal. On Sunday, the Spurs women were in action away at London City Lionesses. Spurs lost the game 4-2. Tandberg and Summonen with Tottenham's goals. Spurs are down to 5th in the WSL table, 15 points, 5 wins, 3 defeats. Spurs are next in action when they host rivals Arsenal this coming Sunday on the 16th of November at Brisbane Road, 2:30pm kickoff. Now, on Saturday, the men's first team drew 2-2 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium against Manchester United in the Premier League. Of course, Tell and Richarlison on the score sheet for Spurs. Now, Tottenham had just 3 touches in the opposition box in the opening 45 minutes against Manchester United. That was our joint fewest in a Premier League home game in the last 10 seasons. And of course, in the opening 45 minutes, Spurs failed to have a shot on target. Premier League legend and Match of the Day pundit Alan Shearer on the Tottenham v Manchester United game. He came out and said a draw was probably a fair result in the end, but the standard of football was pretty poor from both teams. The subs made a difference for Spurs, but not for Manchester United. The visitors going down to 10 men after Sesko's injury definitely didn't help them. After Spurs drew 2-2 against Manchester United on Saturday, Thomas Frank said, "I take the positives out of this game. That's what I believe and how I believe in building a good team and keep adding layers to it. Overall, a fine and good performance against a good Manchester United team, which is definitely in flow." Frank then added, "I was extremely happy with our response. We're playing at home and of course we want to win the game, but don't talk too much about home form and all of that. I know we need to win before we talk about it. The way we turned it around to stay in the game, kept doing the right things throughout the second half. Very happy with that. Also, so close to winning it. On another day, we win it." You know, I just want to see my club go for it in games and give absolutely everything. And, you know, some people will say, well, we had that under Ange Postecoglou. You went for it and it was all attack, attack, attack. With Thomas Frank, it seems to be very pragmatic. I think we just need something in between Thomas Frank and Ange Postecoglou. I hope that Thomas Frank adapts his system slightly because, like he has said as well, you know, he didn't like in the past couple of weeks where journalists said about him being a pragmatic and defensive coach. He didn't like that at all. He said, my teams have scored a lot of goals. And when you look at this Brentford side, you know, they beat Newcastle on Sunday. They play entertaining football. That's exactly where Thomas Frank came from. And Thomas Frank's football at Brentford wasn't boring. They played a lot of entertaining football. They scored a lot of goals. So is it down to the players? Is it down to personnel? Is it down to, you know, when we get creative players in this squad again, the likes of James Maddison, Kulusevski, Dominic Solanke, etc., etc., will it be different? I'm certainly hoping so. Now, my thoughts on everything in this episode, and let's start by talking about the last week or so. Of course, we've played 3 home games, 1 Champions League game sandwiched in between 2 Premier League games. The Champions League game, absolutely fantastic. Mickey van der Ven, what a goal. And what a performance from all of the players. Of course, a lot of people will say, you know, we played, you know, poor opposition. True. But you still have to give a performance, still have to get the result. We got both, and it was really entertaining. Absolutely love that game. That is exactly what I want to see when I go to watch Tottenham be entertained, scoring a lot of goals, creating a lot of chances. The 2 league games, however, really, really poor. Against one of our biggest rivals in Chelsea, of course, only 1 shot on target. And in that second half, 0 shots on target. And I want to see more. I want to see more desire from this team. I want to see us taking a little bit more risk. You know, you've got to be able to create chances to score a goal. And, you know, 0 shots on target in the second half against Chelsea. Very, very poor. And of course, Saturday's game just gone 2-2 at home against Manchester United. And I completely agree with Alan Shearer's comments. I thought it was a very poor game and poor from both sides, actually. And Manchester United are there for the taking. And I was disappointed in Thomas Frank's comments, I must say. Thomas Frank and the players seem to be really happy with the draw at the end of the game, and that has hurt me a little bit. And I don't like that. I don't like that attitude, the fact that we are happy with a 2-2 draw. I get it. I think 80 minutes, we'd have certainly taken a draw. But then when you get in the position to be 2-1 up, you have got to defend that corner in the 95th, 96th minute. Vicario, his goalkeeping, I don't want to be too harsh on him because the past few weeks he has saved us from some embarrassing scorelines and he has done extremely well, but he's got to do better there. We've got to defend that corner a lot better. And, when so many people talk about set pieces and defensive actions, Thomas Frank said he was really happy with the defensive actions from the team on Saturday. But of course, we conceded 2 goals, and that second goal that we conceded was really, really poor. That Manchester United game on Saturday, the first half, or actually I could say up to 80 minutes, it was a bore fest. People were so unhappy. The amount of people that I spoke to on Saturday, there were a lot of empty seats, by the way. Again, empty seats for the Chelsea game, a lot of empty seats for the Copenhagen game, thousands in fact, and a lot of empty seats against Manchester United. And some of the seats now that are being taken up, the big problem that Spurs have at the moment is opposition fans are now taking these seats in the home areas. You've only got to look online, for a lot of proof where people have been videoing, the opposition fans celebrating the goals that they have scored, Chelsea and Manchester United. But I tell you what, we are breaking records. 3 touches inside the opposition box, against Manchester United on Saturday in the first half. We haven't had that poor stat for 10 years. It was really boring. And that is the word a lot of people said to me on Saturday. This is boring and we want to be entertained. So, particularly what we saw on Tuesday, and Thomas Frank in both press conferences ahead of the Chelsea game and the Manchester United game, he has said on both occasions, I'm really confident that Spurs are going to give a really good performance, for these matches. And it hasn't been. It has been really boring. It has been pragmatic. I didn't understand why the likes of Udogie and Odegaard didn't start, particularly as they played extremely well on Tuesday against Copenhagen. I felt like we needed the energy from both players. And I've got to say, a real positive was Wilson Odegaard and Matisse Tell. Both of those players, particularly Matisse Tell, have received a lot of criticism, particularly since Matisse Tell has signed for Spurs on a permanent basis. And yes, it hasn't gone well for him so far, but I tell you what, to come on, Thomas Frank at the end of the press conference turned around and said, this is exactly why I brought him on, to score a goal. And he did exactly that. Yes, it got a slight deflection. You could argue that Richarlison's one was a little bit lucky, but we got in that position to be 2-1 up in the game. And I know some people said on Saturday that I was quite negative, and I just can't accept that a 2-2 draw is good enough against a poor Manchester United side. I think that, my hopes, dreams, aspirations for this team this season are really high. And I think, some people, their expectations are probably a lot lower. I don't know who's in the right or who's in the wrong here, but I want to see my team going for it. Our motto is, to dare is to do. Are we daring? Are we doing? I don't think we are. Is this the Tottenham way? Are we playing the Tottenham way? No, we're not. It's very defensive. It's very pragmatic. And I'm not happy with a 2-2 draw at home against Manchester United, particularly, when we are winning the game in the 95th minute. So whether you think I'm negative or not, I think we all feel differently about this team. I think we all feel differently about this system. I think we all feel differently about the type of football that we are playing. But I think that, playing the Spurs way is entertaining football. Are you a Spurs fan, because of Thomas Frank's football? No, we're Spurs fans because we like entertaining football and playing a particular way. And at the moment, we aren't doing that. But I want to see every single player giving their absolute all in these matches. I want us to be a lot more creative. We bought Javi Simmons to be creative. And yes, he's had a little bit of a tough time. You start at Tottenham, but of course, that game against Copenhagen was a lot better, and it was a really, really good performance. And I like Javi Simmons, and I think that he is going to be a top player at Tottenham. Yes, it might take a little bit of time, but I think he's going to be a top player. But I just want to see more creativity in Premier League games, particularly at home, because our home record at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium is really, really poor, and a lot of fans are getting pretty restless and pretty fed up. And to hear that word boring, I've never heard it so much in all my life supporting Spurs. And I just want to see more from the team. I want to see more creativity in the team, more from Thomas Frank. Kevin Danso has been asked a question, are Spurs just a set-piece team? Yes, of course, we did score different goals against Copenhagen, but that was against a poor quality opposition on Tuesday. We need to see this in the Premier League. A lot of people are saying that, and I can see why people are trying to put a positive spin on it. Of course, I always try to be positive, although I'm not feeling that positive at the moment about things. We've got Arsenal up next. We've got PSG in the Champions League. 2 really, really tough games, both away from home. We've got, I think, 11 injuries at the moment. Kolo Muani could be out for a couple of months. Tel then could replace him in the Champions League squad. He will then get his chance. Mohamed Kudus, I think, is really good that he hasn't gone on international duty because he's missed the last couple of matches against Copenhagen and against Manchester United. But when you think that about our final third, we need firepower. Richarlison, for me, yes, of course, he scored on Saturday, but some of the chances that he has missed in a Spurs shirt, particularly this season, I just think that Spurs need to buy a new striker. £70 million Rodrygo, I'd certainly have him. Ivan Toney, I'd certainly have him. We know that he can score goals in the Premier League. Dominic Solanke, we don't know when he's going to be back. Thomas Frank has come out and said that it could be, and he hopes that it's going to be by the end of this calendar year. We have really missed him. But as I said, positives, Tel, Odegaard coming on, and of course they've been doing really well for the France under-21s. To have that link-up play as well, I think it's great. But as I say, we need more. João Palhinha reclaims his Premier League tackling crown. Great for him. I think he's been really good since he's come in at Tottenham. I know Jamie Carragher slated him, saying, he's got a lack of creativity. But in my opinion, he's been brought in to be a number 6. He has been brought in to break up play. He has been brought in to be that tackler, and that's exactly what he is. Williams-Barnett, he has just been nominated for another award, under 21 or Premier League 2 award, Player of the Month. He is on fire at the moment. He's currently away with the England under-17s on international duty at the World Cup. He's on fire there as well. One hell of a talent, one hell of a player. Would love to see him get more first team action under Thomas Frank in the very near future. It's funny, actually, because I don't like to be called negative, and I've never seen myself as a negative fan. But like I've said, I have high standards. I have high standards for the football club. I want Spurs to be the very best. And when you look at the league table, we're 8 points above the relegation zone. And I know a lot of people are talking about the league table because Spurs are 5th. We're actually 3 points above 13th. So, the league table can change very quickly and very easily. So I'm not reading too much into that right now. But then again, Spurs are only 8 points away from league leaders Arsenal. So the league table is very, very weird. It's crazy at the moment. But Spurs, in my opinion, have a lot of work to do in the January transfer window. I know it's a lot. It's very hard to get deals done in January, particularly good and effective players. But the summer transfer window, I don't know, we're only in November and I'm talking about the summer transfer window. We need real depth, we need real quality in this team. And like I've said in a couple of media interviews recently, when you go from the likes of Heung-min Son and Harry Kane in our forward line to some of the players that we've got now, there is a real huge quality difference. That isn't being negative, it is being realistic. And it's also being realistic looking at some of the games that are coming up. And, Spurs need to just show some creativity. how we're going to get on Arsenal away, how we're going to get on PSG away. These are going to be two extremely tough games when we return from the international break. Kolo Muani, it looks like he's going to be out for a couple of months. That is going to be a big loss. However, he has featured in 4 Premier League games for Spurs so far this season. Of course, he had a dead leg, which kept him out for some time. But in those 4 Premier League games that he has featured for Tottenham, he's only actually had 1 shot, and that went wide. So will it be a huge loss to Tottenham at this stage? I don't think so, but in terms of numbers, it will be. And in terms of Tottenham's Champions League squad, that is going to be an issue. Tel could replace Muani in Tottenham's Champions League squad, but it has to be past 60 days, so that is some time away. Tel couldn't replace him straight away for the PSG game, for instance, after the international break. It has to be that 60-day period. Absolutely delighted for Mikey Moore, by the way, because he got his first goal for Rangers. Since they've had their new manager come in, Mikey Moore has been thriving, playing extremely well, and sometimes for these young players, it's actually a good thing for them to go through a tough period because it makes them stronger. And this is going to certainly make him stronger as a player, mentally as well. So when he does actually return to Tottenham, he will have a lot more about him, a lot more experience, and he's got such an exciting future. This is the thing about this squad. Tottenham squad, because Thomas Frank has a lot of very, very talented players in this squad. I just want to see them being used in the right way. And like I said, the Tottenham way, the creativeness, the flair, that's exactly why a lot of us are Spurs fans. So I believe that we should be entertained week in, week out. And it should be us playing the right way and going for it. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. Enjoy the rest of your week. Stay safe and well. Keep smiling. Come on, you Spurs.